my toys.
Hey everybody, this is D Hunter bringing another action figure review. Today we're going to be looking at the Mezco 112 Collective Sovereign Knight Batman Onyx Edition. This was a Mezco.com exclusive. This item here is a variant of the Sovereign Knight Batman. There's also a PX exclusive version upcoming, as well as a standard version upcoming. Kind of surprised the standard version wasn't the first one they released, but this is probably the one I'm most excited for. I believe he's all black color scheme, kind of reminiscent of the 1989 Batman. A little bit of a funny story getting this figure. At work I had an interview with a new associate, or potential new associate, and it coincidentally happened to be the exact same time that this figure was being able to be ordered at Mezco.com. And I had a bad experience with the purple Catwoman. It came out there. I didn't realize it was being put for sale quite yet. And when I got home, it was already sold out. Got myself on the wait list and fortunately did get that item. So this item came out about noon at whatever date. And the guy had the interview at noon. He sat in my office and I said, bear with me just about 5 minutes. Let me take care of something real quick. And I'm trying to pre-order this figure, have all my information in there, add it to the cart. Bam, the website's flooded with activity and keeps giving me errors, keeps having loading issues, etc., etc. Add to the cart, hit checkout, got an error, did this 4, 5, 6, 7 times, kept getting errors. Bam, the figure sold out. Was pretty upset. Ended up putting myself on the wait list, and I did get converted about 2 weeks later. So, with no further ado, let's go ahead and start the opening process of this figure. The reason I started this video by showing you the box that came in the mail in is because I usually have such a nice presentation when you open the package. This one, man, not quite as much so far. When I opened the Catwoman, it had a nice little sticker on here and you had to peel it off to be able to move further. But you can see the bubble wrap we got here. What is this? Little Mezco Collectors Pin. By collectors, for collectors, which means the people that run Mezco are collectors and they make stuff that they want to make, which is pretty cool. Can't see myself wearing this pin, and honestly very few people will actually get the logo or reference. Then we got the invoice, blah blah blah, more advertisements, Living Dead dolls, which don't interest me, Diablo-Eek, which I actually did purchase 2 of him, or pre-order rather, so I could use them for thieves in my Batman world. Pretty cool guy. Some It stuff, doesn't interest me. And then, here we go. This is what it's all about. The Sovereign Knight Onyx Edition, Mezco exclusive. Glad I got this. These things always shoot up in price in the long run. And yes, I did get 2 of them. One to open and one to keep unopened in my complete bat-related Mezco unopened collection. Like I said before, I did get 2 of these guys. One to never have the tape seal broken and never open it, and one to open and display and play and have fun with. And you can see here on the bottom, this action figure has taken its rightful place in front of my comics with the other recent Mezco releases I have that are unopened. And it works its way upward to more and more recent Mezco releases. Now that we've started to open this package, we've taken the plastic sleeve off. Let's check out the packaging of this figure. Black, classic, gold, yellowish, Batman logo. See Mezco up here. Mezco website exclusive. Batman, Sovereign Knight. One side, just a bat symbol. Other side, same thing. The top, Mezco 112. Bottom, bunch of useless nonsense. And on the back side, the figure and sort of some shading. Looking pretty cool so far. And now the next step of the journey in opening this figure, taking him out of the box, exposing him in this plastic right here. You can see him, all his heads, all his hands, all his many accessories. Can't wait to get this figure all the way open. Next, taking off the top plastics cover for the rest of the figure, exposing the figure in its entirety and numerous layers to open still to go. And then here we go, the next layer. You can see his stand is now exposed, as well as it looks like the bat drone that he comes with. And then as we remove the last piece of plastic, you can see we've got the stand exposed as well as the bat drone up top. And the reason I was kind of over dramatic about opening this figure is the packaging is quite extensive and elaborate on all these Mezco figures. We've got one layer, another layer, another layer, another layer, as well as the box and the plastic around the box. Well, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories in their entirety, and they are many. He comes with 10 standard batarangs, 1 large batarang, a disruptor, a grapnel gun with 2 different attachments. It looks like a combined total of 11 hands, 4 different heads, and a bat drone to look around the city, as well as a typical elaborate Mezco stand and the little baggie. But before we look at the accessories, let's check out the actual figure. Here he is, the first of 3 different versions of the Sovereign Knight Batman. This one is all black, Mezco exclusive, very reminiscent of the 1989 Batman, if you ask me. His head, very shiny, sharp ears. This is supposed to be the sort of middle-aged Batman. Ascending Knight was a young Batman. Then we have this one, and they're going to make an older Batman next. Can't wait to see some hints of that soon. You can see these lines on the suit, abs, the muscle sculpted in, the belt that'll go up and down. The lines aren't so sort of in your face. I like how they're kind of subtle. He comes with his 2 fisted hands attached originally. Looks like he can hold his grapnel on the back of the belt. It's a pretty nice little feature there. So next, let's check out his accessories. First of all, he comes with that plastic Ziploc bag you always get. Took all of your Mezco accessories, and usually when I get a figure, I just toss all his extra hands into my big, huge bucket of hands and body parts. But with the Mezco figures, I actually keep them in these baggies and keep them separated. The only thing I have in there for right now is a little small little peg piece that came from the stand. Speaking of stands, here it is. Nice gold and black bat symbol. Of course, able to hold his cape as he's gliding down. I really don't like using these too much, so it's going to go into my huge box of stands. Next, let's look at his hands, and they are many. Like I said before, he has 11 different hands, 5 left and 6 right hands. So first off, let's check out his trigger finger. This one here can hold a weapon or a grapnel or perhaps a disruptor. He has one for both left and right. Here he is with both hands using the trigger fingers. As you can see here and here. Here he is utilizing both of his trigger fingers, one of which is holding his grapnel gun here, and the other one is holding his disruptor here. Next, let's check out his open hands. These ones here are extended. I would almost say they could throw a batarang, but it's definitely not, I don't believe, the purpose. Could be touching something or maybe choking somebody. Here he's utilizing both of his open hands. These hands work great for typing at a keyboard or pressing buttons on a computer, etc. Or perhaps it could work for him picking up some evidence off the ground and examining it. Maybe he'll figure out who spray painted this wall. Next hand let's check out is his open hand. This one is a very small open hand. I believe this is intended for his batarangs. Very small opening here, can hold something very small. Here he is sporting both of those open but very small open hands. You can see here, looks like they're going to be good for holding batarangs. As you can see here, it holds the batarangs just fine. And these small open hands also hold the big batarang just fine as well. And then the next set of hand to check out is going to be the completely open hand, good at opening most type of accessories. None of his accessories seem specifically intended for this kind. These are usually my favorite kind of hands for action figures. I usually use them as my default because A, they can hold an item, and B, they can double up as a fist and have 2 functions pretty nicely. And then of course here he is sporting both those hands open, ready to hold something. Once again, these open hands without the trigger fingers can hold both his Disruptor and his Grapnel gun, but you don't get the luxury of seeing a trigger finger holding it properly. But pretty cool that these can hold them as well. And then these open hands can also hold each of the batarangs pretty well as well. You have to sort of squeeze them between his thumb and index finger, but it does work. Kind of nice that these hands can kind of work with either accessory. The next hands to check out will be the fisted hands. Of course, these are going to be good for punching people or when he's really angry. And then here he is, of course, rocking both of his fisted hands. And of course, his fists are best used when fighting a physical opponent, such as a mutant leader in the junkyard. And then the very last hand to check out, this is once again a fisted hand that has kryptonite infused knuckles, kind of like brass knuckles. It looks like he's got another weapon to fight Superman with. And then here he is with his kryptonite knuckles equipped, ready to go, ready to take somebody out. But of course, this accessory works best when Batman is actually fighting Superman. Here he is taking down the Man of Steel himself. And then of all of his hands, I must say that when switching them, his pegs are very sturdy, very strong. It's absolutely no problem taking them in and out. And I think my default hands will be a trigger finger on his right hand and a semi-open hand on his left hand. Next, let's check out this guy's heads, and he does come with 4 of them. This first one here is the one he came with his default head. It's got long ears and sort of a normal expression. The next one here is a little bit more of an angry expression and has shorter ears if you prefer that type of cowl. Then of course we've got the Unmasked head, and it's a little bit different from the Ascending Knight release. And then we've got this absolutely awesome battle damaged head. So let's check out each one of those on the body. Now here's his first head. This is what I would call his default head, the one that came attached to the figure originally. The one that I think is sort of meant for this figure. I prefer the longer ears on this guy just because that's obviously how he's meant to be. 2 of his 4 heads came that way. Only one of them have shorter ears, just to appease people that prefer that look, which I do like that look as well. But this is the standard Sovereign Knight Batman head. This is the one that we'll probably get with all the other releases, just painted in slightly different colors. To me, it's very reminiscent of the 1989 Batman. The entire suit, the really long ears, stern look. Then, of course, he has a little bit of expression sculpted into the face here, kind of Arkham-esque. I do like that as well. And then here's his longer-eared head compared to another Mezco figure with longer ears. I picked the all-black version of the Ascending Knight Batman to compare with this all-black version of the Sovereign Knight Batman for obvious reasons. And then here's head number 2, a little bit angry with the mouth and the shorter ears. Kind of makes me think of the New 52 Batman look. Kind of makes me think of the Capullo Batman as well. It looks pretty good, but I'm going to stick to the default one for the most part. This head may find a different home in my Batman collection. Here's a couple of semi-recent Batmans with short ears that I think were executed very nicely. Both the DC Essentials Rebirth Batman and the DC Collectibles Capullo Batman from the comics. Both have really nice head sculpts and pull off the short ears very nicely. And then here's his shorter eared head compared to another Mezco figure with shorter ears. Once again, this is another great figure that pulls off the short eared look very nicely. So here's his third head, his unmasked Bruce Wayne head. This is supposed to represent a slightly more aged Bruce Wayne than the Ascending Knight unmasked head is. The Ascending Knight Batman is sort of a year 1 Batman. This is Batman in his prime, and then I believe they're going to be following this up with an older Bruce Wayne. Looks pretty cool. I will say I believe it to be an identical sculpt as the other Ascending Knight figure. You can see he's got a little bit of stubble on his chin. You can't see it very well, but just a tiny bit there. His hair is a little bit sort of lighter colored. I almost feel like there's a little bit of gray in here, but it might just be the way the light is hitting it. But overall, looks pretty good. Can't wait to put him in my Batcave. Now here's the Sovereign Knight Batman Unmasked compared to the Ascending Knight Batman Unmasked. The head sculpts are identical, just painted quite a bit differently. A little bit darker hair on this guy, younger Batman, a little bit more stubble. Really not a lot, but there is some on this guy here. His hair is much darker, eyebrows even darker. But definitely the same sculpt. The eyebrows are painted differently to give him sort of a different appearance or image. They did a good job differentiating them while using the same sculpt. And then here's Batman after hours with his mask off, working in his Batcave, surrounded by his computers and his chemistry lab, working on some detective work. Of course, you can also see there are some of his trophies to the side here. His coin, his large dinosaur, as well as a large Joker card back there. And then last, but certainly not least, this is his battle damaged head, his fourth head. This, I would say, is absolutely my favorite of the heads. The detail is amazing. It looks just absolutely great. Unfortunately, I won't be using this head very often, as he'll be sitting with his first head for the most part. But on the rare occasion when he's battle damaged and you can pull this out, boy, it's quite a pleasure. It looks great. You can see the scratches through there, the cowl being damaged, his eye red and sort of beat up and inflamed inside of there. Must say this head's just looking absolutely great. And then here's this guy's battle damage head compared to another Mezco battle damage Batman's head. Completely different kind of battle damage, but cool they've made more than one. And whether his battle damage be from Catwoman betraying him on a rooftop, or whether it be after a long drawn-out battle with Slade, Deathstroke, it's still a really cool accessory to have and can be useful in many different scenarios. And then just one last look at his head up close. Really like the way it looks. He's angry, he's pissed, he's hurt, he's getting ready to pay somebody back for what happened to him. And then just because here is the Sovereign Knight Batman body with the Ascending Knight Batman head on it, I actually think it looks pretty decent on there. A little bit loose and wobbly because the peg ball is a little bit different size on these two different figures. So let's continue to look at his accessories. Next, let's check out the batarangs. As you saw before, they do fit into either one of his open hands, whether it be the one that has a very small grip for small accessories, or the bigger one that can hold other accessories of his. We've got this pretty large one. These are made of hard plastic, no bending whatsoever. I like the gold, sort of textured feel. Looks really nice. Larger batarang. Not sure what the purpose of this is compared to the other ones. Maybe it's electronic, but it looks really good. The texture on the gold, the black, more lines sort of outlining the bat in the center here. I think it looks really, really nice. And then we've got these smaller ones here. Now this came with 10 of these, and I think this could have come with 4 of these, and I would have been very happy. You still would have felt like you got a lot. Giving you 10 of these is just pretty nice. Icing on the cake. Small, hard plastic again, you could easily snap it. And let me tell you, this thing is so small, you drop this in the carpet, you will never find it again, so make sure you're careful with these. Not the smallest batarang that I have, but boy, it's small and it's silver. It's going to be impossible to find if it ever falls on the carpet. Like I said, 10 of these. Really cool to be able to add those to Batman's armory. This figure definitely was not shorted on accessories by any stretch of the imagination. Next, let's look at his grapnel gun. Here it is. Gold and black. It's got the nice handle grip here. You can see here it's got a little hole, and it comes with 2 different accessories. So here's the grapnel with its regular piece not being launched out quite yet. It's ready to go. Here he is holding his grapnel with the arm extended, ready to launch out his projectile and swing up to a building. And here he is with his grapnel extended, ready to swing up to the rooftops. And as you can see here, the actual string from his grapnel is quite a bit taller than the actual figure. It's about 8.5 inches, so pretty cool. They did a pretty nice job executing this. Next, let's check out his Disruptor. Just like all the other accessories, it's black and gold, looking pretty smooth here. I noticed on the front, it's got nice texturing. One thing I noticed about this little feature, the front part is detachable, can be removed, kind of cool. And here he is with the arm extended, holding his Disruptor. Perhaps he's disrupting some electrical equipment, or perhaps disrupting some communications of some sort. And here it is from a front angle. And then his last accessory, and I think this is probably the coolest one he has because we've never gotten anything quite like this before, is a bat drone. Sort of a flying drone that can go around the city, eavesdropping, spying on things, probably listening as well. And it's, of course, in the shape of a bat. See this guy kind of got the ears, the bat face, mouth. Under you can see those sort of fans to keep it in the air. I think it looks really, really cool. I don't believe I have a drone of any kind except for the Falconer Predator that came with his little Falcon drone from the movie Predators. This is definitely cool. In the movie Justice League, the Flying Fox had a ton of drones all along the side of it, ready for deployment. I saw that in the special features for the movie. He uses these in comics and whatnot. Pretty cool to actually have something like this as an accessory for an action figure. And then speaking of bat drones, here's a real-life bat drone that I took from my son's room for this video. About a $10 cheapo version you can get at Walmart. And in addition to that, this bat drone even has some articulation. Take the main sort of body here, the wing can kind of go up, kind of go down, sort of bat-esque. And yes, they can turn, so he can be, hovering above, and of course he's got to go backwards. Pretty cool accessory. Definitely looking forward to adding it to my bat armory. Now that we've taken a very in-depth look at his accessories, let's check out the height of this figure. So this guy's a Mezco figure. They're typically 1/12 scale, hence the name, 1/12 collectible action figures. Running about 6 inches tall, between 6 and 7 in my experience. So if you measure him up, the top of his ears hits just about 7 inches, maybe a hair below, and the top of his head is just a little bit above 6.5 inches. Next, let's check out this guy's articulation. So, of course, we've got his head. Yes, it can look around, can tilt from side to side with a ton of range of motion, can look down that far with just the head and look up that far. Pretty nice. Now, one thing I kind of noticed about his head, his neck is kind of different. It can go up and around, and it sort of can go back. There's a lot of different options here. It can go forward, sort of back on the actual neck joint here to allow him to do more and more things in a huge range of motion. Very impressed with this guy's head. Now his shoulders, a ball joint of course, they can go more than 90 degrees. Be careful how much stress you put against the cloth. Of course they can go around, all that fun stuff. No bicep cut here. Single jointed elbows. They can go a full 90 degrees. No twist or swivel any kind in here. His wrists, of course, they can go around and they're hinged as well. Does he have an ab crunch? Yes, he sure does. His head can look that far with it and that far down with his ab crunch. Of course, his ab crunch can also sort of swivel a little bit as well. He's got nothing going on the waist. His legs can go out pretty far, almost 90 degrees. They pretty much can do the splits. Once again, be careful how much pressure you put against here. Of course, they can go forward about that far, back, not too much. He's got double joint knees. They can go back pretty far. Once again, be a little bit careful. You can see the creasing inside of there. He's got nothing that swivels around here. Then his feet, of course, they can tilt, which is fun. They can go around and then go forward, back, about that far. Next, I would like to compare him to some other Mezco action figures in my collection, and then we'll compare it to some other action figure lines in general and see how he scales up with them. Here he is next to some other recent Mezco Bat-related releases. Here he is next to some Dark Knight Returns Batmans from Mezco. the original Mezco 112 figure. There are a couple of these that I'm missing. They're the crazy rare exclusive versions. Just great. Love having these different incarnations of Batman translate into these beautiful action figures. Dark Knight Returns, the cinematic universe. Mezco's just knocking out the park with every Batman they make. Here he is next to all three different Ascending Knight Batmans, or I guess I shouldn't say all three different. There is a fourth one, which is the, I want to say, Toy Fair exclusive. Exact same as him, but with a black belt. Anyway, I decided to compare them to them first because I believe these are going to be in the same sort of series of Mezco-ish, Mezco-style, comic-style Batmans. This being sort of year one Batman, this being sort of middle-aged Batman. Then we're going to have an older Batman coming out in the future. There are also going to be at least 3 different versions of the Sovereign Knight Batman. This is the Mezco exclusive, kind of like he was. There's going to be a PX exclusive, which will be blue like him, and a standard one that hasn't been released yet, which will be gray and black as well. Here he is next to all 4 of the DC cinematic movie release Batmans. Of course, they scale up them nicely because they're from the same overall Mezco line, but pretty cool. Really loving the Batmans that Mezco's released. Now here's this Onyx Batman in the middle of my entire Mezco collection, predominantly all Bat-related characters. A slightly better shot of all the Mezco figures that I have. There are 4 of them that are missing in my collection that I would love to get, and I've kind of realized at this point I will never get. That would be the Dark Knight Returns black and white exclusive version, the Dark Knight Returns Puerto Rico Comic Con exclusive version, the Ascending Knight Toy Fair all black exclusive version, as well as the Mezco exclusive deluxe Joker. I was on the wait list for him and actually still am, but don't expect to ever actually get it converted. Now here's a figure I wanted to compare him to the most. This is a NECA, at one time Toys R Us exclusive, 1989 Keaton Batman figure. I find the Onyx suit very reminiscent of that suit. They scale up pretty nicely together, but are a slightly different style. And then here he is next to the all-black DC Universe Classics Batman. To me, this one was also very reminiscent of the 1989 suit and style. I think the upcoming Toy Biz throwback multiverse Batman will be very similar to this and will look great compared to the Onyx Batman. And then here he is next to a couple more black-suited Batmans. On the left here, we've got the Total Heroes Batman. This was some kind of exclusive, I believe, and it definitely, I thought, was reminiscent of the 1989 suit. This one here I would say was not reminiscent of that suit, but it's an all-black Batman. This was from the, I believe it was Multiverse already at that time, Arkham line from Mattel. This was some sort of exclusive figure that I actually never got to see retail release. I got a bootleg on eBay, and I must say I'm very fond of this guy in his black suit. And then just because, here's the Sovereign Knight Onyx Edition Batman, riding an all-black horse, kind of reminiscent of Dark Knight Returns, etc. Next, let's check him out versus several different action figure lines to see how he fits in, scale-wise and height-wise, including several different DC lines. Here he is compared to 4 different Diamond Select action figure lines. These guys are a little bit taller than him. Diamond Select are traditionally some of the taller 6-7 inch figures in my collection. They're pretty much in the 7-inch scale versus the Mezco figures, which are 6-inch scale. I'm not too fussy, but even I can tell these are a different scale. And here he is next to 4 different McFarlane Toys action figure lines. Once again, these are more of the 7-inch scale and are a little bit taller than the Mezco figures. And then here he is next to 4 different NECA action figure lines. Once again, these guys are a little bit taller than him, but getting a little bit closer to the right scale. These guys are pretty much 7 inches versus the Mezco 6 inches as well. And then here he is next to some figures from DC Collectibles from the DC Essentials line. These guys are the 7-inch scale again, a little bit taller than the Onyx Batman, but I think I could fudge them in together if needed. And then here he is next to some Soap Studios figures. These guys definitely scale up pretty nicely with the Mezco guys, but don't look as good as the Mezco figures. They're another company that's trying to do the cloth, soft goods approach. And they actually charge more than Mezco, and their quality is worse than Mezco. So if I were to suggest, I would say steer clear of them, unless you're obsessed like me and have to have all the figures. We've got Ra's al Ghul, League of Shadows Ninja, and Bruce Wayne. And then here he has next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. These guys are also the 6-inch scale, and I think they scale up pretty nicely to Mezco, although definitely a totally different style figure. And then here he has next to some Mattel WWE wrestling figures, both basic and elite. Some guys for him to fight, or perhaps save. These guys scale up okay with this guy, works good enough for me. And then here he has next to some Mafex Metacom figures. These guys are maybe just a hair smaller than him, but I think they work okay together. Once again, a different style, that's for sure, not being the cloth goods. And then here he has next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends figures. These guys are getting a little bit smaller than him, but I'm still totally cool with them existing in the same action figure world. And then here he has next to some DC Figure Arts figures. These guys are definitely the smallest action figure line I'm willing to collect, and they're definitely too small for the Mezco figures. So overall, I must say I'm very pleased with this figure. Who would have thought? Mezco knocking a Batman-related character out of the park. This guy's great. I love the figure, I love the way it looks, I love the materials made out of. I like the way that he's glossy in some parts. I like the way that his cape is shiny. Love the material it is on the outside and the inside. I love his accessories. Got some really cool new stuff to add to the Bat Armory. So if I were to rate this figure, I almost want to give it a 9 out of 10, but I'm a little bit conservative in my rating system. I'll go ahead and give this guy an 8.5 out of 10. Really making me look forward to the other couple Sovereign Batman releases that are upcoming, probably in the very near future. If you want to get this guy, or think you do, you probably do. He's probably going to be insanely expensive a year from now or 6 months from now. So this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it in the comments. If you want to see additional videos from me about action figure reviews, press subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Once again, this is D Hunter, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.